Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Rob's Little Blue Book. And tonight we are doing something simple and a good weeknight meal. And I really love this dish, both because, well, for a bunch of reasons. It's easy to put together. It requires very, very little prep. There's no marinating. There's no waiting for anything. You can just throw this together in no time at all. So it's tacos al pastor. It tastes great. It's great for kids. It's just a fantastic taco dish. It doesn't require a lot of salsas or anything. We are going to make a salsa verde, which I quite like with it. But other than that, it's kind of all you need. So let's move over to ingredients and go through that. There's no cocktail tonight. I have Corona here in honor of a Mexican dish. So what we're going to do, we're going to do the salsa verde first, but let me go through the ingredients. Let's just go through it one thing at a time. Let's do one thing at a time. Okay, so for salsa verde, there's a million different kinds of salsa verdes. The technique I want to show you tonight is it's called a quick cooked salsa. This adds, and it only takes like 5 or 10 minutes, not even. It does add a depth of flavor to the salsa verde that you don't otherwise get. And it really suits tacos al pastor. Now, if you want to just whack out a blender salsa verde, you can do that as well. But I did want to show you the technique. So if you're really in a hurry, you can just grab a salsa verde recipe. I'll show you mine. There's a million different kinds. It's the kind of recipe you can make your own really easily. And you can just throw it in a food processor or a blender and go to town. I do like the quick cook version, but that's entirely up to you. So the first thing, the other great thing about this recipe is you can get everything at the grocery store, at the actual supermarket, everything. So I was gonna do, I have a great little Mexican grocer up the street, and my first take at this, my first thought for this was to do, they have fresh tomatillos there. I mean, they have all the Mexican ingredients, but I thought, you know what? No, I'm gonna do the supermarket version because, this is an amazing, authentic dish that you can prepare, that you can get everything from the supermarket. So for the marinade, okay, so first thing up, tomatillos. You get these are next to, this isn't the Mexican section of your supermarket, next to those weird half-moon hard-shell tortilla things and burrito kits and all those powdered junky crappy things. But there's nothing wrong with canned tomatillos. Canned tomatillos, like canned tomatoes, perfectly acceptable. So I'm going to use canned tomatillos. If you have access to fresh, by all means use fresh tomatillos, but you don't have to. While you're in that aisle, grab chipotle peppers in adobo sauce. So that's kind of a hack, but chipotle peppers, we'll use about 2 or 3 of these in the salsa, which adds a little bit of heat and nice smoky flavor, as well as what we're really after is the adobo sauce, which has most of the spices that are traditionally in the salsa verde, at least the one that I like. So this is the only thing you might not find. This is pretty common. I got this at the supermarket. It's achiote. It's a paste, a condimented paste. This is a paste made up of food color and a couple other things and the seed of some evergreen plant that I can't remember the name of. Used in small quantities just for color. We're going to use the whole package, and this gives it this is for the marinade, by the way, actually, not the salsa verde. This gives it a nice smoky flavor when you use the whole package. So, that's right, these ingredients are for the marinade, not the salsa verde. The salsa verde, we have, the tomatillos are for the salsa verde. A bit spun tonight. We've got some fresh chilies that are going to go in. A little onion, coriander, and garlic. That's our salsa verde. And then some salt. This is the marinade. This is a quick marinade. You don't have to leave your pieces of meat resting in the marinade. You literally brush it on. You can see I've been making tacos al pastor. Achiote will stain just about everything red. My cutting board's a little bit red. And my brush is a bit red too. So, cheers, hang on. Okay, I'm gonna slow down, and let's get the salsa verde going first. So tomatillos, drain them, throw them in the blend. This is all done in the blender. Give it a sec here. This actually makes a fair amount of salsa verde. So if you, I mean, it's only, that's the only size can you can get. I haven't seen smaller cans. I'm going to use, you can use any green chilies you want. You could use like the generic green finger chilies, serranos, depending on how much heat you like. I'm going to use jalapenos because I quite like them, and available at the supermarket. And you don't have to like, there's not a lot of prep here. Leave the seeds out for a couple of reasons. Well, first of all, if you leave the seeds out, it won't be as spicy, which I don't want my salsa verde to be super spicy. But as I discovered making, what did I make recently? I made something recently with jalapeno. What was it? It was for a stream too. A chutney or something. I made a chutney or something, and I left the seeds in, and it was amazing fresh. But after a couple of days, it got quite bitter, just sitting with the seeds. So I'm gonna leave them out of my salsa verde. All right. And you can just rough chop these, like, not a big deal. Be very careful. Why did I switch, Serena? I switched, okay, so I love the Roy Choi salsa verde recipe. That's actually in the little green book. I switched to this one because this is the quick cooked tomatillo one. So Roy Choi doesn't use tomatillos in his. So this is a little more authentic in the sense that it's just basically Mexican. Roy Choi's is like a fusion, Korean Mexican fusion, which is fine. I just wanted something a little more authentic for this one. This recipe originally came from Rick Bayless, who's kind of like, he's either the Julia Child of Mexican cooking or the Bob Ross of Mexican cooking. But a great guy, fantastic chef, and just absolutely passionate about Mexican food. So I'm gonna put in some garlic. This is a big clove. You don't need to go crazy with garlic here. And again, we've got our onion. This is a small onion, about right. You know, like, you'll know your food processor or blender. I know how small I need to make the pieces to give my blender a head start. You could probably just throw everything whole in a food processor. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna want a little bit of salt here. Doesn't need to be overly salty. Maybe like a teaspoon-ish. Then we'll put this off to the side, and hopefully it's not too loud. Okay, perfect. So for this salsa, you don't want it rustic, but you do want it to have, like, retain a little bit of its texture. You don't want to puree this into like a pablum or something. Okay, but now for the cooked part is really easy, or it should be easy. Let's see if I got gas in here. I do. Okay. I have no idea where my barbecue lighter is. Serena, if you happen to be around, I don't know why this one won't start tonight. Okay. Looks like I might be doing this on the stove. Ah, there we go. Thankfully, Serena. had the lighter handy. Joys of doing things. So any questions so far? I feel like this is supposed to be quick. I don't want to race through it. And I've said this before. Take your time cooking, guys. Especially with this one. And here's another thing too. When you do get a recipe that's super easy, you get to slow down even more and enjoy it, right? So this is, I got this at my Mexican grocer. This is just lard and manteca. Use good lard. Go to a butcher, get lard, or the meat counter or something. Don't use like tender flake. This is not the right place for tender flake. To be fair, there is no right place for tender flake, but especially not here. Out of the way. So we're just gonna get this going. And all we're gonna do is, once this lard gets hot, we're gonna put the whole blender full in here. Yes, this lard is for the salsa. This is part of the cooking process. So this will give it a little bit of flavor and a little bit of smokiness, because we're gonna kind of like, not saute it, we're gonna cook it. We're gonna cook it decently vigorously for about 5 or 6 minutes, and then I'll put it on the oven just to simmer while we get everything else done. This does make it like a little more, yeah, that's a really good question, Rebecca, because I thought about that the last time I made this, because you're not supposed to use tomatoes in a cast iron pan. And I didn't have any problems with it, with the tomatillos. So I'm going to say yes, it's okay to do this in a cast iron pan. Okay. And that's okay, it's gonna like bubble up. Probably fog the lens. And I got the heat up pretty high here because I want this to, I kind of want to like cook it quick. And I'm gonna ask Serena for one more favor. Serena, can you grab me another fuel canister out of the cupboard? This one's light. You can tell how prepared I am tonight. But this is a weeknight meal, so it's supposed to be easy and fun. Thanks. This is my backup canister. So it is 7:13. We're gonna let this go for about 5 minutes. And in the meantime, I can start on the marinade. So let me just give this a quick rinse. You guys can see the blender? Okay, so into the blender. This is our, yeah. We should, you know, Serena, we should get you like a green screen, a chroma key dress, so you're just completely invisible. I can have like my canister just float on screen. Okay. Okay. So this is the achiote. Again, we're gonna use the whole thing. And you just break that up and throw it in. Maybe break it up a little more than that. Okay, and you can see it will stain your hands red. It stained everything red, so if you don't want something stained red, don't use this. We've got our supermarket chipotles and adobo. So these can be, it's a good idea to like give these a little taste test, because I've tasted this brand before, but these can vary quite widely in heat. So I'm gonna go with, these are big too. So I'm gonna go with 2 of these guys. And I just want to spoon in like, honestly, like most of the sauce they come packaged in. Packaged? It's swimming in stuff. Okay. And to that, we want to add about a quarter cup of olive oil just to loosen things up. You could use any kind of oil you want here. I just happen to grab the olive oil. And I'm thinking like a quarter cup of water, or in this case, a little Corona to help loosen things up. And let's see what that consistency looks like. Give this a quick stir. This you do want to puree to like a liquid, a pureed liquid. Perfect, okay. So I have exactly the consistency I want. Let's get that into a bowl. We'll get the rest out later. But we have more than enough for our purposes now. This goes on the stove. Okay. Any questions about anything that's happened so far? So I think what we're going to do next is actually, before we do that, is get our vegetables going. So the one thing you're serving are the other two ingredients, which are really fun, and that's what makes this such a great dish, because the salsa kind of goes in with the meat, because we're going to add onions and pineapple right into the taco, like the filling. So it's kind of got like a built-in salsa. Let's take that off. So this, you want to cut your onion about pretty thick, right? Like, I don't know if you guys can see. I'm going about almost half an inch there, maybe a little bit less than half an inch. I'm just going to cut 2 for tonight. Make as many rounds as you need for however many people you're serving. And then do the same thing with your pineapple. Again, about the same thickness. Well, you take the core out after it's roasted. I mean, if you have a cored pineapple, if you're super in a hurry, you could get one of the like pre-done pineapple things. It's working again. Also, you can do all of this outside, of course, on a charcoal grill or any kind of grill. You could also do this, like you could do this on a plancha. You could do this in a cast iron pan. I might have done it in a cast iron pan if the salsa wasn't in it. Or over a charcoal fire, you could do it on a propane grill. It really doesn't matter. So what I'm going to do here, though, is I'm putting a tray, actually. We're going to oil these up, and then we're going to grill them for a couple minutes aside to get them nice and light charred. Semi-charred, I guess. What's that song? Semi-charred kind of life? It's like by one of those, like, 3 Doors Down, 3 Days Grace, 3 AM. One of those bands. Canadian too, I believe. And look at that, I'm out of olive oil. No, so we need to like that one. See, the bad puns are always the good ones, right? Or is that a dad joke? I don't even know. So what I'm gonna do is, just while we're doing our other stuff, get these on the directly on the grill. As I said, you could do this on your barbecue, a pan, whatever. There's no rules. Great. This can go away. Any questions on the vegetables? Like, how great is that? How great is that vegetable prep? I'll tell you, it'll be a lot better with a fire under it. Do that real quick. This, by the way, is a lot more like. There we go. This is a lot more like my weekday cooking. I'm running out of stuff and reaching around and grabbing stuff, so. Yeah, I mean, if you had pineapple chunks, just toss them in a pan. Just get them nice and charred. Yeah, why not? That'd be perfect, Rebecca. You could use pineapple chunks, it's fine. I like the slices just because it's easy to turn on a grill, but if that's what you got and you're doing it in a pan, there's no reason not to. Okay, now I left the coriander out of the salsa verde, and you know what? I think I'm just gonna leave it out. I'm actually not a huge coriander fan. So one thing I am gonna do, and you guys can't see the salsa, is I'm gonna adjust the consistency of the salsa with stock, and I have some chicken stock here. If you have fresh tomatillos, you can use up to like, so I would have used a pound of fresh tomatillos. You could use up to 2 cups of stock, but with the canned ones, they're a lot more liquidy, so probably around 1 cup. And I'm gonna add half right now and just see how it is. You guys can't see it, but I've just thinned it out a little bit. And then we're gonna cook it down as we go. You want the salsa, obviously, like, you want it I guess taco consistency. So it has to be like liquid enough to go coat everything, but not so liquidy that it runs out of your taco when you're eating it. It's not too hard to judge. These are actually cooking relatively quickly, but we're not quite there yet. Yeah, so I flipped that guy way too early. All right. Put you back. Okay, in the meantime, let's talk about the pork. So here's our pork for tonight. You can use whatever pork the supermarket has. This was another part of my challenge. I deliberately went to Foodland and the Beaches, which is a really tiny supermarket with an extremely poor selection of everything, just to see if I could get some cut of pork to use for this dish. And they had boneless chops on sale. If you go to a relatively well-stocked, if you go to your butcher or whatever, turn that down just a bit. I would shoot for like a blade roast or a pork shoulder and slice it about this thin. It's just cheaper and it's a little fattier, but I think we're going to be okay with these. Now, one thing we do have to do is these are thick, too thick. Actually, I should explain how tacos al pastor are made in a restaurant. Give me a sec, guys. What do you guys think? Yeah, so our pineapple's got some nice color. Hot. A little color there. Onion looks great. Oh, you guys can't see the onion, it's under me. Anyway, trust me, the onion looks really good. Here. There, see my onion? It's great. So, tacos al pastor, and that's it, I'm looking for me. Tacos al pastor is basically like Mexican shawarma. So, when they make it in a restaurant, they use that big, tall, vertical spit thing, and they stack the meat up on the skewer, all in layers, and then it rotates around that big flame and gets cooked, just like shawarma, and then they slice it off the same way. Now, I really want to get a vertical spit for home, but it's not really practical. I can't even think of a way to make it happen, or I would try. So in this case, what we're going to do to approximate that style, and it makes this even easier to cook, we're going to pound these pretty flat. We're going to marinate them, or paste them, and then you just put them on the grill and you only fry one side. So you get one side that's nice and charred, and then you get another side that's kind of tender, and this mimics having the pieces cut off the vertical skewer. So let me just check these guys out. Not quite, okay. Okay, these are going great. So this part's probably going to be loud because I have to pound these flat. And you want them like, there. You want them like a 1/4 inch. So let's see how this works. Meat hammer, tenderizer thing. Also, you may be wondering which side of a meat tenderizer to use. It's got a flat side and it's got a spiky side. And the spiky side is for tenderizing, but it's actually much easier to pound something flat with the spiky side. It just takes less whacks. That's one. I have no idea why that is, by the way. It's just the way it goes. And as I said, you do want this pretty thin because we're not going to cook it on both sides. Like, we're going to cook it through, obviously. But we really want one side charred and one side tender. It's got a little bit thinner. One more. Obviously, like, watch your fingers when you're doing this. How loud is that, by the way? It must be super loud. Sorry, guys. Like, right under the mic, too. Okay, happy about that. Any questions on pounding pork? Kind of wish I hadn't said that. Anyway. Hot. Really hot. Our pineapple's almost done here. Time to switch to tongs. Yeah, perfect. Check our onion. It's basically done. Pineapple's almost done. How's this onion doing? Okay. So really like the way our the rest of our filling goes. The onion and the pineapple looks great. Let me give that like a couple more minutes. Yeah, it is kind of satisfying. So we're going to paint those guys up and put them in a sheet pan. So just while we're waiting for, I would do in a cast iron pan, Rebecca. So Rebecca's asking how you would do it if you didn't have like an open flame or a grill. These will, you'll get exactly the same browning and blackening. I might put a little bit of lard or oil in the pan to sort of promote the browning. But that would work just fine. So here you go, guys. So this is, calling this a marinade is like a bit of a stretch because we're literally just going to paint this on and then throw it on the grill in like 2 minutes. But pineapple's super acidic? Well, I don't know then. I think I would still use a cast iron pan. But then if you were concerned about that, use a, well, I don't know. I guess stainless steel, like a non-stick isn't going to give you the browning that you want, would be my concern. Okay, look at that. And it actually like coats the other side. It's perfect. Okay, so now our meat's ready to go, which is great. I do have to wash the cutting board. One sec, guys. Alright, take these guys off. Yeah, it's perfect. Look at that. You guys can see the color there. Onions look great. And we're just going to chop these and toss them with the chopped meat after. So there you go. In fact, we can do that in a sec. Add some water to the grill. Okay, get smoking here. So any questions? Oh, you could, yeah, you know what? You could just throw, you reckon that's a good idea. Just throw them in a sheet pan and, you know, just pop them into the broiler. Yeah, definitely time to open the window. This is going to be interesting because it's going to get really smoky in here. So hope, oh, you can't even see the main screen. How smoky is it? Yeah, see, look at that. Just fucking my kitchen without the exhaust. Not sure how to deal with that just yet. Maybe calling on Serena to put the fan in the window. Okay, so, any questions? I'm going to chop this up while we wait for the meat. Actually, this is pretty hot. So the meat's going on now. And all you do is just lay it over. Sorry, checking on the tomatillo salsa verde, which is an amazing consistency now. So I can turn that right down. And again, for pineapple, we're just going to go, ooh, that is really hot. I'm just slicing out the core. And then give it a rough dice. Same with the onions. This guy. All right. Concerned about the level of smoke here. I'm going to call Serena one more time. I should just make the whole time assistant. Serena, we're going to need the fan in the window. If you can make that happen, that would be awesome. Okay. So this is our part of our filling. I'm just going to put that in a bowl or something. I don't have my thing. It's fine. What filter is that? Yeah. I know. I spent all this money on camera gear, and all I needed to do to get the effect I wanted was make tacos al pastor. Okay. Fillings away. We have our cutting board prepared for the meat. And it's time to make it even more smoky in here if that's possible. So you guys can see, let me move my corner. There we go. You can see the grill. And I'm just going to lay these pieces right on. And those are going to take like 6 minutes at least. Salsa's ready. Let's talk about tortillas. So you can get corn. You want corn tortillas? Well, I shouldn't say that. Traditionally, you would serve tacos al pastor in a corn tortilla. If you prefer flour, do flour. I normally make my own flour tortillas, and I normally make corn too, but this was to be you know, I'd go to the supermarket and put dinner together thing. So here we are with corn tortillas. You just warm them up in the oven. I've actually got some, it's not plates in the oven. These are kind of our plates. So we have tortillas in the oven. I'll show you how, I think I've made corn tortillas before for you guys. And if you want to do that, maybe we'll do a tortilla night where I'll show you how to make both flour and corn. They're both super easy to make. The difference is when you're going to the supermarket is you can buy good corn tortillas. They taste just fine. I can't really, well, I can, the ones I make at home, they're a little bit better than this. They're not a lot better. But flour tortillas from the supermarket suck. They're really gross. So, unless you're trying to like make Taco Bell at home or something, it's worth making your own flour tortillas. I'll show you guys one week. Okay. Any questions? I feel like I made a big mess and a lot of smoke. And now we have to wait for the tortillas. should theoretically unsmoke here in a bit. Say a prayer for the food camera, by the way. Okay. That's really good. So I think this needs a pinch of salt. I'm just going to toss them with some salt just to bring up the flavor just a bit. But I think they're actually getting good to go. Any questions? I know this is really, seems really straightforward, and it is really straightforward. Just sticking. Yeah. Not quite yet. You do, you don't want to do, oh, I don't even have anything, I can't see what I'm doing. So, one of the things you don't want to do when you're cooking, when you first lay these on your grill, is exactly what I just did. So I was jumping the gun because it's way too early, but I wanted to see what kind of char we were getting. These aren't going to release right away. So if you try and pick them up like 2 or 3 minutes into your cooking, whether you're doing it on a charcoal grill, gas grill, whatever, they're going to stick. This one's sticking. Now that will release once it's got a chance to cook a little more. So don't be impatient like me. Also, it's also really important when you're doing fish. If you're doing like salmon on the barbecue or something like that, same thing. Okay. So we have like an interlude. Let's talk about next week. This is still taking a bit of time. Let's talk about next week, guys. I've obviously been on a Mexican kick lately, but I'm happy to do something else. I'm open to ideas. I mean, I have some of my own, but I'd like to hear from you guys. So if you guys have a request, now's a really good time. So we've got a few minutes to talk about it. Okay, not quite there yet. Do I have dried peppers? Yes, I have lots of dried peppers. What kind were you thinking of? I think I have pretty much every kind of dried pepper. I mean, Rebecca, are you talking about Mexican peppers? Okay. I mean, that would be... I'm happy to continue Mexican. I mean, I'm really sort of enjoying this kick I've been on. It's been a lot of fun. Oh, this looks amazing now. And, of course, most dishes do call for dried peppers. So, like, a mole would be really good for that. We could do, like, we did a simple mole, I think, but we could do a more complex mole would be really good. We could do, wow, you know what I might do? Okay, leave it with me. There's a lot of things we can do. One of the things I'd like to show you guys how to do is make a salsa roja, which is with chili starball and tomatoes. It's like a hot toasted chili. It's like Mexican hot sauce, basically. Which uses these guys, chili starball. We also have like, what else do I have up here? I mean, this is just on the top of my fridge. We've got some chipotle peppers here. These look like morita. Oh, they are. And I have a bunch in the cupboard as well, so I am well stocked on peppers. So we can definitely do that. That'd be fun. So let me research a bit. I'll figure something out and come up with a Mexican dish that uses a lot of pepper. Shouldn't be too hard. You guys can see it. Let me show you this side for a sec. We're almost there. it is important that you cook your pork obviously all the way through, which is one of the reasons you want these thin. You can always check with the meat thermometer. It can be a little tricky to tell when the pork's cooked all the way through because we've dyed this section to the top red with the, excuse me, the achiote. So my top surface here is 160, 165. So these are basically, yeah, so they're done. 6 minutes, just like we thought, which is good. So now I can stop the smoke attack. Cook the other piece later. Let's move this out of the way. So now for this part, I'm just lay them. So I'm just flipping them on the hot grill to shed some of the juices from the pork off. And we have, you guys can see the color here. So there you go. This is our, looks good, eh? Now we gotta slice these guys up. You guys can see the color okay? I'm just gonna stack these up. And you wanna slice it. So I'm like carne asada, which I'd be chopping into like cubes. You kind of want these in like longer pieces, just like these little slivers that I'm cutting. And I'm just going to do them one at a time, it's easier. Okay, it's one. Just gotta tell you guys, it smells really good. This just goes right into our I'm not going to fully toss this. So you guys can kind of judge your own filling to condiment ratio. I feel like the 2 slices of pineapple and the 2 onions might be too much filling. So I'm going to kind of like oh no, that's fine. Never mind. Forget what I said. This looks fine. I was worried I had an imbalance of meat to like veg, but I really don't. This just looks great. Okay, time for the taste test. Also hot. So here's our corn tortillas. Really hot too. Nice and soft. It might actually be too hot. And then this is pretty straightforward. It's just lay out your meat. Oh, no veg on that one. Dip in for the. You don't have to top it this way. You could probably, if you want to keep the topping separate. I like tossing it all together, in part because I really like family style meals where we're passing this around. You know, you pass around a big bowl and everybody can just go to town with the tongs. But if you were a control freak about like filling versus meat and you wanted the right ratio, I guess you could like spoon it on separately. All right, and then we're just gonna add a little bit of salsa verde. And you can add whatever sauce, like red salsas would also be really good here. I mean, you could throw a pico de gallo or a salsa ranchera, kind of whatever you want. Okay, any questions? Let's see how smoky it is. Still pretty smoky. Oh well, let's go back. Okay, anyway guys, this is it. I'm gonna do a taste test, tell you what I think, and we'll go from there. Okay, I overfilled these maybe a bit. That's great. Yeah, you can taste everything. Meat's perfect. It's nicely seasoned. Nice hits of the pineapple. And the roasted onion. Really good. I think that the tortillas were in the oven too long. They're kind of falling apart. But there you go. So guys. Wow, it's really good. This is a very simple thing to throw together. And of course, it would be super fast. You know, if you had your achiote blended up before, like your marinade, and you had your salsa verde already made, because I usually have lots of salsa verde in the fridge. This is a matter of oiling up a slice of onion and a slice of pineapple and painting a slab of pork, and you're good to go. You could have this on the table in 15 minutes. Oh, it's falling apart. Really good though. I think there's a reason they double these up in restaurants sometimes. But cheers. Really happy with the way this turned out, guys. But just as at home with a flour tortilla. I think, like, if you were on the Baja Peninsula or Oaxaca, you would probably get this in a corn tortilla, or sorry, a flour. And maybe next week, I might do carne asada next week. We'll see. That's definitely a flour tortilla. I do want to show you how to make the flour tortillas. They're super easy, and they taste amazing. Once you have a homemade flour tortilla, you will not go back to anything else. So, so that's kind of all I have for you guys tonight. As I said, simple, super tasty. In a lot of ways, the Mexican cooking, like this style, is very much like Italian cooking. You know, we have a few simple ingredients that all get a chance to shine and taste great together. So I'm gonna hang around for like another couple minutes. If you have any questions, throw them out. Other than that, that's it, we're done. The smoke is starting to die down just a bit. It's good. Count down, maybe another 15 seconds. My pleasure. Always a pleasure, guys. Love doing this. Okay, that's all she wrote for me tonight, guys. Everybody have an amazing week. I'll see you next Wednesday for some sort of Mexican dish that uses dried peppers.